And apologies for the scruffiness, but the way today is going, it was a choice between shaving or doing this video. Hey, I wanted to do the video. Is it too early to be talking about the 2024 starters? Yes. Am I going to do it anyway? Yes. In particular, since Frazier has essentially confirmed that he will be leaving after this year, people have started talking about how the line will look next year. Yeah, I think they're making some bad assumptions. They may be right, I don't know, but I got to thinking about it and figured I'd, get my thoughts in there early. Now, most of the people are assuming that next year's starting offensive line will look as much like this year's line as it possibly could, minus Frazier and Nestor. And yeah, Milam, there's no reason why he wouldn't be back. So, and people have been assuming, we'll say, or I'll say, that the starting line will be Milam, Rimac, Yates at center, Hubbard at left guard, Malone at right tackle. I hope not, because I don't think that would be a very good line. Yates and Hubbard moved to guard this year, and the hope was that they would significantly improve by playing guard. It really hasn't happened that way. Now, we have not been getting them beaten by an outside rush, which was their biggest shortcoming as tackles. So just moving inside eliminated that particular block. So in that regard, they have been better. But neither has been good. Solid, okay, yeah, workmanlike. When I see them in their interviews, love both guys. They represent the school and the team very well. But I think they are the reason why the line does not move into the elite category. We needed an above average right guard, and we didn't get that. Now, I also think Frazier actually fell below expectations in a lot of games this year. I don't know if that means he actually has more to work on than people have been saying, or if it's because the assumption was he could handle anything, so they, worked each game assuming that he could go one-on-one and win, but he didn't some of the games. So, there really wasn't any help for him. Or was it in part because, Yates and Hubbard were a weak link and that opened up problems for Frazier? I don't know. I have not studied the film, and I probably am not qualified to really make that decision, even if I studied the film, unless I studied long enough to really know what I was looking at the way a coach would. So I do not expect Yates to be better at center than he was at guard. And I do not expect Hubbard to be better at guard next year than he was this year. I think both players have gotten pretty close to their ceiling. So I think we need somebody to step up to the above average level, and I don't think they will do it. So I think having Yates center, Hubbard right guard would be a weak spot. If this year is any indication, it would be weaker in running than in pass protection. But dang it, you got to be able to run up the middle, inside the tackles, as well as outside. Now, Malone's a great story. He has continued to improve year to year, and I think from the beginning of the season to the end of the season. Where is his ceiling? That's not as clear. Malone could start next year if he keeps improving. I don't think he will start at right tackle. Now, before I get to my projections or guesses, I'm going to take a look at just who it is we have coming back. I'm not talking about the incoming freshmen at all. I don't think any of them will start. And you know, really, you hope that you're not starting freshmen on the offensive line. Even when you get somebody like Frazier or Milam, you would rather give them a year before they have to start. We tossed those guys into the fire before they were ready. They were the best option available, especially for the, both, well, actually the immediate and long term. But they weren't truly ready their freshman year. And if they had redshirted, well, hey, we might have both of them, longer. Oh well, we needed them at the time. So, also, kind of looking at what year the guys will be in 2024. Keep that in mind. Now we get Biggs. I don't think he's on scholarship yet. I didn't double check. Biggs and CJ Cole are two of the next guys likely to get scholarships, I think. Will depend on how Cole does coming up. He might be, the next Clement. There was some thought that he would be before Clement, but oh well. Biggs has continued to improve. He has helped the team. Be a redshirt junior, so he'll have been in the program for a good while. He may be the next Malone, which would kind of mean your utility fill-in. I don't think we'll need a Malone, the guy who can just be your backup at almost any position. I think we will be able to rotate more with multiple guys. I mean, it's not going to be like the defensive line where we have 9 or 10 guys rotating in consistently, but I think we will see the starters get more breaks from a wider variety of backups next year. Hamilton, he's highly regarded. Reports have continued to be good. He'll be a redshirt sophomore, so he will be at that third year in the program, which is where you really start expecting an offensive lineman to contribute strongly or start. It's not necessarily at his peak, but the chances of having added the strength and weight necessary are good. We'll have Hubbard. He'll be a redshirt senior. Katarinchik, again, in his third year. We haven't heard as much talk about him as we did his first year. A little more here towards the end of the season. I think he won one of the weekly awards. I don't recall which one. But Coach Brown does actually like to spread those around. He uses them as both as reward and incentive. Cray. Cray is going to be one of the interesting cases because he'll just be in his second year, but he could be ready. Livingston, I want Livingston to improve enough to win the job at center. He played some this year, not as much as Yates at center still, but I want him to be good enough. Now he will still be inexperienced, and that could cause a problem reading the defenses and making the calls. He would have probably Rimac to his left. That would be the big experience for who could help him. Yates has the advantage of a lot of experience. But Brown has said, when it's a choice between talent and experience, you take the talent. Of course, that only means if the talent is ready. If Livingston can't make the calls, he won't start, talent or no talent. It's going to be tough because we will be playing Penn State again. So it's going to be that same story of needing a team that is ready immediately. Nick Malone, he'll be a senior. I already said his big question is, what is his ceiling? Is he close to his ceiling, or does he still improve significantly? Wyatt Milam, I think he's a lock at left tackle, obviously, but I do think he still has room to improve. I think he has improved over the season, and I do think he will be better next year. Working with Mike Joseph on the specific strength areas. Rimac, he'll be a redshirt junior. Weidman is going to be one of the questions. He'll be in his third year, and he has been one of the. He comes in regularly when they put in the full second string. Williams, it'll be just his second year, but expectations are extremely high. In some respects, the overall expectation may be as high or higher than it was for Milam. We'll see. Yates, as I've said, I think he has reached or neared his ceiling. Maybe he finds something more. Who maybe being married brings something out in him we haven't seen yet. But I just don't think he is going to improve enough to be an above average center or guard. Of course, if Livingston takes over center, Yates would still be a candidate at right guard. Cooper Young, Again, second year, lots of talent. So, where do we stand? We have a lot of talent. We have a fair amount of experience. The balance between them is going to be interesting this coming year. Which is going to win out how much? Now, some people, they feel like, hey, you go with, when you've got that line that's played together, you don't want to change too many of them at once. But man, if you've got the talent, and these guys have played, it's not like we're talking about guys who've just come into the system. They've been around each other. So it's not brand new. Game experience together would be different. And that matters, but you also can't have a group that's played together a long time if you don't start them playing together. But if you look, the number of guys who will be in their second and third year, it's a good looking group. And we've got good guys coming in. I think they are maybe still looking for one more in the recruiting. And I've said before, I think the recruiting is going to step up between now and, the signing period and, before, the year actually reaches us. We did have a defensive back decommit. The way that played out, I think it was a mutual decision. I don't think he just decided not to come to West Virginia. And I think there will be more of that as they look to upgrade some of the commits. So some of these guys, they may say, hey, you'd be better off decommitting. Coach Brown and his guys are as upfront with recruits and current players as they possibly can be. So as things change, they keep them up to date. So I do think the recruiting class will improve. Now, where's this going to end up? Okay, left side of the line, we stay. Milam, Remack. It would take a lot to happen for that to change. In theory, if there could be a reason to move Remack to right guard, but I don't. Let's assume he's a starter and left guard. Center, I predict Livingston over Yates. And again, unless Yates takes a very big step up, we need Livingston to be good enough to take that spot to win it. Unless, of course, we still have the portal. If they pull in some, amazing talent, and they may go after somebody, but we'll see how that plays out after we see who's entering the portal. And by Davis Mallinger, it's been official now that he has left the team. That actually happened a few weeks ago, according to some reports. Why is still unknown. Now, he was very slow to come back from last year's injury. I don't know if that was a physical thing, a mental thing, or a disagreement between him, the medical staff, the coaching staff. I don't know if it was Mallinger's decision to leave, if the coaches suggested it, and we probably will never know. Would have loved to have seen him. We always heard about the speed, but where we're positioned right now, it's not a critical loss. And we can probably use his spot better as far as scholarships. Okay, I'm going to jump over to right tackle. I say Williams wins that outright. I don't think Malone will improve enough to beat out the sheer talent that Williams has. And in some respects, I mean, yeah, I love Malone's story, but I don't think he's a superstar. I think he's a critical player that you desperately want to have on your team. But I think Williams, I mean, if Williams plays like Milam, which, I mean, potentially, I think he'll be better than Nestor. Nestor was good. Nestor was very good. Nestor was not typically great at times. Joy of cats. Hello there, Rotocat. Yeah. Welcome to the video. He wants on my lap, but that happens to be occupied by Brule. So, yeah, look at the pictures. Okay. Now, I think right guard is going to be the big question mark. I think they're going to want to get the 5 best guys on the field, which may mean moving players out of their ideal position for a while. So, these guys aren't all necessarily guards, but these are the guys that I think are going to compete for that spot. And this is not in order because I think it's going to be quite quite a challenge. I'm putting Malone in there for the experience, moving him over from tackle. He may be good enough and they may want that solid experience even if it's not at guard. Hamilton, and I think Hamilton may be the favorite. But I mean, he's played, after Malone, he may have played more than any of the other backups. And Biggs. Again, Biggs has stepped up and stepped up. Where is his ceiling? That's not even as clear as it is with Malone, which is not clear. So right guard was the critical question for 2023. And the answer was ho-hum. Was good enough, not great. Might or might not have cost us a game here or there. But, it's going to be the question next year as well. And I do not have Yates on that list. I think he makes it at center or he doesn't start. And, I didn't list Hubbard there either for that matter because, I really don't think Yates or Hubbard should be our starters next year. I think we need young guys to come into their own, to maybe be reaching for stardom. And of course, it's a thing, yes, and you don't want stars who dominate the publicity. You don't want stars who don't play as a team. But you want star quality, star talent, star ability. star performance. Yeah, okay. Ability is one thing. Performance is where it's at. Game day performance. And I think we could actually improve the line next year. I don't think Livingston will be as good as Frazier next year, maybe the year after. But if we can get a very good center and a very good or star right guard and a very good to star right tackle, we are better overall. And I think we will have some better depth options rather than just putting in Malone wherever somebody went down. Okay, that's my prediction. Again, I don't think the line will look a lot like it did this year. I think we change 3 positions. Going to the younger crew, which still keeps experience on the left side. That outside zone to the left should still be good. And maybe the outside and inside to the right better than this year. Imagine running for more yards next year than this year, which would include getting off to a better start. The passing game should start hot next year, assuming there's no injury to Green or if Marchiol steps up. So if we start next year's offense as good or better than we are ending with this year's offense, running for 300 and 400 yards a game from the beginning while throwing for 200 or 300 yards in the same game. That is the potential for this team next year if we keep Chad Scott as the OC. My fear is Scott getting an offer for head coach that he can't resist. Now, there is also the possibility that Coach Brown will turn over play calling duties with Scott having more experience. I think he trusts him. Brown has done a very good job with play calling. Scott has, I think, done a very good job with play design. I think a lot of those, plays and variations are primarily from Scott's mind. It would be interesting to see what he does with that quirky, creative approach if he's calling the plays. I'm not saying Brown needs to give up the play calling. Like I say, he's done good. Look at what we're doing, Okay, Oklahoma sucked, but look at what we're doing overall.